Welcome back to the channel, Programs and Other Things. And today we're going to look at the file manager that supports Flight Log Maker version 5.3 and some of the earlier versions. So the name of this program is called Performance File Manager, the second version. And what we're going to do is we're going to load an aircraft just like we do in Flight Log Maker and the other programs. All of the programs have this feature where you find the aircraft, and we're going to stick with what we did in the Flight Log Maker program. We're going to stick with the Cessna 172, and we'll go ahead and we'll load that up. And we'll set the power at 2300 RPM with the manifold pressure at 0. Over here, if you read this, aircraft is regular. If we set that and we go get data, it's going to let you know, hey, you can't do that because we don't have manifold pressure on a Cessna 172. So go ahead and clear that back. And we'll set the altitude for the flight altitude at 3,000 feet. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get the data. And if you look, it'll be a lot the same as what we had in that program we were working with the other day. True airspeed of 103, fuel consumption 6.8 gallons per hour with a climb rate of 560 feet per minute. And VY is 75. And so anyway, that's 2,300 feet RPM at an altitude of 3,000 feet. Now, if we go to above standard, what the program does is it will jump to one of these other files other than normal. So it'll either jump to above or below. Once the standard temperature is, or once the actual temperature is more or below standard by 20 degrees Fahrenheit or more. And then we have a default file, which takes a combination of information from both the above and below standard conditions, and we make a conservative file. So the true airspeed and the fuel consumption is from the below standard temperature file. The true airspeed is actually from above standard. The rate of climb is from above standard. Climb speed is from above standard. And that's the RPM of 2,200. So no matter what we set here for the RPM, it's not going to care. It just has a power. It has a certain number for each altitude that you go to. So it doesn't care what power setting you set this to. And so it's going to come up with. Now, if you do set the power to a wrong value and it don't come up with anything, it's going to revert to this default file. And what it will do is it'll get this 2,200 RPM. Then it'll go back and try and look for, say, normal conditions again. And it'll put, it's going to put this in there, 2,200 RPM with these values here. Now, if you don't like that, you can go back and say, well, at least I know kind of like where my power settings should be. Let's go with 2,300 RPM. And then you can grab that, and then in the program, it's going to show you whether or not it's going to work. It's best to use the file manager if you want to know that beforehand, because it's going to tell you right away whether the numbers work. Whereas if you do it in the flight planner, you're not going to know it until you actually run the numbers and hit the calculate button. Then you'll find out. It'll tell you, no, we had to go back and set it to this power setting. And then that way, it went back to the default file and grabbed the default power setting. So anyway, if you're going to load this for the very first time, what I usually do is I'll start with the normal file, and I'll just go through every power setting, every altitude. And I actually have a template for this. So you go through one by one. You're going to go through all the power settings, and you're going to set each one to what you get from the pilot's operating handbook under the performance. I think it's section 5, I believe. But it's the pilot's operating handbook performance section. And you go through and you just work out these power settings for 2,000 feet. Then you work your way up, and you go to 3,000 feet and go back to that, the 2,000 RPM again. You're going to go, and if there's nothing there, now you don't have to put these zeros in there, because when you create this file for the first time, uh, say you set this up in the aircraft creator program, and you said, okay, I'm going to use this file for the normal, this file for the above, this file for the below, and this file for the default. And so the file names are already set up so that when you go and you try to run this, what it'll do is it'll look at that and say, oh, I'm going to create this file for the first time because it doesn't exist. And so what it does is it goes in and it's going to go through all the records and set everything to 0 for you. And the reason I have it doing that is because in the past, what happens if you just create a file and you don't go initialize all the records to zeros, you're going to find certain records are going to have numbers in them. And that's just because of the memory that it used. That memory happened to have something in there. And so it's going to, by chance, just have something in there. You have to manually set all this to 0. So I do it for you. You don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is just worry about putting in your numbers in the record numbers that you that are going to be used. So the record numbers are actually derived by a formula. And so if you look at here, it'll be record number 11. Say, let's go to 2100 RPM at 3,000 feet, and we'll say that's record 12. If we go to 2200, that's record 13. If we go back to like at 2000 with the lowest RPM, that's going to be record number 1. And so as you go through, if you go to 2000 with 2000 RPM and 3,000 feet of altitude, you can see that's record number 11. So anyway, it's all calculated for you. You don't have to worry about, all you have to do is just put your RPM in, select your altitude. The record number is calculated for you, and those numbers are added by filling these entry fields here. And then you just hit save data, and then that data will get saved. All right. So again, that's if you once you get everything done for all the power settings for each of these altitudes, then you would move to one of these other files, like the above or the below standard, and then you would go through and do the same thing with that file as you did with the normal file. Once you're finished with the above, normal, and below files, you'll go to the default, and then you're going to grab conservative settings. And again, what you're going to do is you're going to grab the true airspeed from the above standard conditions file, because that's more conservative. On a hot day, the true airspeed is going to be less than it is on a cold day. And that's because of engine performance. Fuel consumption, well, we're going to put the most conservative fuel consumption that we can put in there. So the absolute most that you would probably burn at 2,300 RPMs at 3,000 feet would be 8 gallons an hour. The rate of climb will be, again, based on, it'll grab the numbers. You're going to put the number from above standard for that power setting in there. And then you're going to, again, your rate of climb is the same thing. And then climb speed, the VY speed, is also from above standard. So what you end up with is a conservative setting. See, when you have the default file set, if I set this to 2,500 RPM and I say get data, it doesn't care. It's already got a built-in RPM for that altitude. This altitude doesn't care what you set for a power setting. So it's looking at these, you're going to put in the most conservative of those numbers. And then if you don't want to use the default file for some reason, the program will still take this 2,200 RPM and it will go back and it will try to search for a power setting, or for data based on that power setting, and it will also consider whether you're above or below standard conditions, or if you're in normal conditions. It will apply the temperature to that, and it'll open the appropriate file with this power setting. Now, if you don't want to use that, you can move the power setting up or down a little bit and maybe find something different. So that's how that works. I've got templates that go for that help you set all these power settings and rates of climb and all this information here. It sets all of that up and then gives you one sheet of paper where you can, once you get everything written down, then you can go to this program here and you can start entering everything in. It's all written down, and then that way you can just stay in the performance, the POH, and you can start working your numbers, get your page filled out, and you do it for each of these altitudes from 2 to 12,000 feet for each file. Now, for me, I did it a long time ago, but I remember doing it, and I think it took me about 2 days to work out all the numbers. I mean, I didn't sit there for 8 hours and do it. I did it for like an hour or two, and then I put it away and go do something else. And I think to get all three of these done and the default file done for this aircraft and completely finish it, it took like a couple of days. It's not going to kill you to do it. Now, I have 12 aircraft that you can use with the flight planner, but I'm encouraging people to download this program and create files for their aircraft and then submit it back to me, and then I can add it to the program so that we can get this thing built to work with all kinds of different aircraft. And we can use kit aircraft, uh, or certified aircraft. It doesn't matter. Um, so, like if you have say you're flying the Icon A5, for example, when you have power settings for different altitudes and you have performance values for that, some of these aircraft, you might have to work it out on your own. You might have to go fly it, calculate the fuel burn, calculate the rate of climb on a standard day, calculate it on a below standard day, and build your own performance data, because a lot of those other airplanes like that, they have limited amounts of information available. And so what I would like for people to do is download the program and build an aircraft and then submit it to me, and then I can add it to the program so that when people download it, then they can get your files as well. And if they have an airplane similar to yours, what it will do is it'll save them time and they can test it out, make sure it works okay. If they've got a question about it, they can edit the file right down here. If they say, oh, no, it doesn't quite burn 8 gallons, it's more like 7.9. Okay, well, then just change it to 7.9 and then save it. And now that's going to be for your particular airplane. And so that's how everything works with the file manager. And so I'm hoping people will download the program and they'll work with the file manager and get the hang of it, and then submit some aircraft files for us. And then we can get them added into the program and we can offer them to everybody. All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching this, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.